the board queen is a board queen. She's like right now she's just a drone. You can't be the queen without a collective, right? So she is the board queen, but she's not the board queen. So I want to know when she gets back to the point where she is the board queen, if that makes sense. What's up, Trek Nation, and welcome back to After the Snap. I'm your host, Tasha Pierce, and this is going to be my thoughts on the second episode of Star Trek Picard Season 2. This one is called Penance. We're picking up right where we left off from last week, so if you would like to know exactly what I thought of this here episode, then let's go. So in picking up right where we left off from last week's episode, we see Q and Jean-Luc Picard kind of duking it out, having a war of words until Q got all hands on. Like, is this a different Q than we have seen in the past? Yeah, he's still up to all of his old tricks, it seems, but he's real serious all of a sudden. He is not really that much fun. He actually strikes Jean-Luc Picard. I'm wondering if this could be some kind of residual CTE from when Cisco knocked the dog doo-doo out of him in that one episode, but then we had seen him since, and he really wasn't this aggressive. Well, just like we noticed that this ain't the same Q, we are also noticing that this is not the same Earth. Things have that really dark, hopeless type of veneer over the entirety of Earth to include a defense shield. Like, that's some new shit. Other big ass changes are that Jean-Luc Picard, he's a slave owner. He's got Romulan slaves. He is a whole slave owner. No more grapes and shit. People. That is his business at this point. He's into collecting people. I guess he's also into collecting skulls. Obviously, General Picard has taken out quite a few of the most well-known people from Star Trek history. You can see that he dotted the forehead. He dotted the forehead of Gul Dukat, but Gul Dukat is who put him in the synthetic body. So I guess Gul Dukat got him first, and General Picard got him a little later. Got his payback. Got some payback on Dukat. We also heard that he did away with Martok. He did away with Sarek in front of Spock and Amanda. And he's also he had the Grand Nagus of the Ferengi. He had that skull. He had all kinds of armor. I want to say Cardassian armor. I thought I saw Breen armor. I could be wrong. He's a bit of a collector. He's got stuff. Now, Jean-Luc had already told Q he is not willing to be a pawn in his game. Q said something that was, I don't know, it's going to come back. I'm sure it's going to mean something in the future. Q said, "You are not a pawn. You are the very board upon which this game is played." That's kind of big. The game can't play without the board. You can't do anything without the board. So Jean-Luc is extremely important into how we got to this dark timeline where he is kind of a totalitarian leader. I mean, we got a president. We'll get to that. Yeah, but his name is renowned for being a conqueror. And that is not the Jean-Luc Picard that we know. Some decision that he made way back in the way back changed things and put us on the trajectory that we're on in this series right now. And I guess that's where the title of this week's episode ties in to what we might learn moving forward. This one is called Penance. It's a decision or a choice that was made by Jean-Luc Picard at some point during this altered timeline that he might need to ask for forgiveness for, that he might need to make amends for some decision that he made on this altered timeline that put us in the place that we were in that exact moment. I feel like we are going to see Jean-Luc Picard going on a path and rethinking all of his decisions. Now, unfortunately, if Jean-Luc is the very board upon which this game is being played, all his little friends, all his little homies, they're the pawns, right? The board is necessary. Jean-Luc Picard, all of the people that he brought with him, that Q kind of threw into the game with him so that he wouldn't feel so alone. Those are the pawns, right? One of the pawns is Annika Hanson. And if you've been watching Star Trek for some time, you know that Annika Hanson is also known as Seven of Nine. Now, it seems that in this iteration of a timeline, Annika Hanson was never assimilated, and she began a political career that put her in this timeline as president of the Confederation. So, not the Federation of Planets, the Confederation. We also learn that in this alternate reality, Rios is still the captain of the La Serena, but he's not the captain. He's a colonel. He's a colonel fighting in this war against, of all places, Vulcan. And yeah, now we watch him in much the same way that we watch Picard in Seven. We watch Rios figure out exactly where he is, who he is, and what he needs to do to get with the rest of the people who are in on this secret. Because of course everybody's not in on the secret. Just a certain few, right? Boom. We move to Okinawa. That is where we find both Raffi and Elnor. Elnor, of course, being a Romulan in this make Earth great again kind of atmosphere, he's probably persona non grata in this timeline. He is being chased along with another little Romulan girl, and Raffi and her team are who is attacking or who is chasing Elnor and this other young lady down. Raffi, of course, recognizes Elnor. She comes to a quick decision to save Elnor's life by saying, hey, I need to bring him to interrogation and I need to do it myself. So now she has been placed in charge of, they're calling a terrorist, Elnor. And then we find Jurati as well. She is in a Confederation lab. She's working on a project for the president of the Confederation. And of course, we remember the president is Annika, also known as Seven. So who is this? What is this project that Jurati is working on? We later find out that the project that she is working on is the gosh darn Borg Queen herself. Now, there were a few little changes to each one of the characters. Maybe not each one, but especially Seven. She doesn't have those implants because she was never assimilated, right? And then we see a difference in the Borg Queen. She is not the same Borg Queen that blew up last week on the Stargazer. She has a more traditional Borg Queen look about her. And another thing about her, she realizes that something is fishy on this timeline. I couldn't help but notice that she seemed to have a very special interest in Jurati. It seems like the Borg Queen has got plans for that character. They have some sort of connection. And I am wondering how big of a deal that's going to be moving forward. I could be crazy and I could be just reading into little things, but that is definitely something that jumped out at me. She and Jurati seem to have some kind of common bond, and I wonder how the Borg Queen will exploit that bond moving forward. Was it just me? Or when Seven said that she wanted to get in contact with one of the higher level officers out in the field, actually out there taking part in these attacks on Vulcan, somebody said, would you like for me to get General Sisko? I got super excited because there's no real reason to bring Sisko up unless we're going to point back at him in some way, shape, or form. Now, we've seen some of the traditional Sisko foes in Deep Space Nine have been taken care of by Picard. Also, some of the regular Sisko friends of Sisko have also been taken care of by Picard. So I'm wondering if the fact that they brought up General Sisko is a way to say that, number one, that we will see him at some point during this series, or number two, that there will be deeper references to Deep Space Nine, even though, again, whole different timeline that we're on right now. Now, this episode, to me, it moved at breakneck speed. It went really, really super fast. And the reason is because each one of our characters is learning something and dealing with or where they manifested in this new timeline They're dealing with it all by themselves. The only person who had a little tiny itsy bitsy little bit of help is Picard with Q. But he, of course, he gave him some foreknowledge of where they were, but he didn't give them much else. We now know that they have entered an alternate timeline, and that the Borg Queen, of course, like I said earlier, she also recognizes that this is all different, but she is the one that says, you know what, it's time. This is a different timeline. She recognizes that. She also knows that the only way you're going to fix this is to go back in time and fix this one point in history where things got a little messed up. She knows that you got to go back there and fix that thing for everything else after that to go back to regular, go back to normal. The way that we knew things from the Next Generation and all of our other series, but specifically the Next Generation. This is who Jean-Luc Picard becomes instead of becoming the Jean-Luc that we knew in TNG. So we have to go back far enough to fix things so that we get that Jean-Luc instead of this asshole. I say that things moved at breakneck speed, and it was not a bad thing. It was a good thing. This stuff moved. It moved rapidly. We had one plot. One plot. How did we get here, and what do we need to do to change things back? That was our plot. How did we get here, and what do we need to do to change things back? They know they need to go back in time. They know that probably one of the most famous ways of going back in time has been established in the original series, and of course, the movie. The one about the whales. Yeah, that one. They did a slingshot around the sun. We've seen it done several times. This is what they're planning to do today, as of right now, in Picard. But they need somebody who can do the mathematical computations down to a nanosecond, because anything less than that and you will be fried by the sun. Well, the person that they have in mind for this little job is the Borg Queen. It's a good thing she was there. It's an excellent thing that she was there, because now she can help them. Or will she? Will she help them? Or will she continue to be a thorn in their side? Will going to a whole new timeline, will that start the Borg? Because right now, the Borg, there's no collective. In the timeline that they are residing in, I'm going to say that Jean-Luc and them eradicated the Borg. So there's no collective, there's no hive mind where they are. When she goes back in time, either is she going back to a place where the Borg had recently started, or are we going back in time to a place where she could potentially start the collective? I'm very excited to see how that ends up being resolved. How we get to a point that the Borg Queen is a Borg Queen. She's like, right now, she's just a drone. You can't be the queen without a collective, right? So she is the Borg Queen, but she's not the Borg Queen. So I want to know when she gets back to the point where she is the Borg Queen, if that makes sense. Man, and then there's some other things that were kind of name dropped or mentioned throughout this episode. Of course, I couldn't catch everything. I'm sure you guys will find some things that I missed. You can put those things down in the comments below. I would love to hear about it. The starship that General Picard is captaining, or generaling Picard's ship, is not called the Stargazer. It is called the CSS World Raiser. And that is a big, beautiful, mighty warship. Probably the best of the fleet of the Confederation of Earth. Yeah, the Confederation of Earth. Also, in this Confederation timeline, Lawrence and Chabon, they were part of the Free Romulan movement, and they were sad. So sad. One of those graphics that they had put up, it was talking about the Vulcan homeworld. They refer to it as Vulcan kind of / Navarre, and it kind of makes me think that the Romulans and the Vulcans unified sooner, because they had to, because Earth was such an aggressive enemy of both species, the Vulcans and the Romulans. So they kind of had to join forces a whole heck of a lot sooner, and still General Picard is just such a fucking fantastic general. unfortunately, that he still has these Romulans that he's taken as slaves, and this current attack on the Vulcan homeworld. So he is so bloody good at his job that even with those two unifying, he still has them on their heels. That's like he's a bad mother. Shut your mouth. Did you guys notice that big statue of one of the Sung heirs? It was like right next to the bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge, was this holographic statue of one of those Sungs. The statue was saying, "A safe galaxy is a human galaxy." This is reeking of Nazi Germany, or it reeks of. I would say what it reeks of like right now today, but I'm pretty sure you guys know. A safe galaxy is a human galaxy. You know, the human species wants to move from Earth and take over the entire galaxy and push everybody else out. Yeah, bad news, real bad news for this confederation of Earth, not planets, Earth. So yeah, this season of Picard has a new showrunner in Terry Matalas, and let me tell you, Terry, I'm signing. I'm 100% invested. I'm signed on for the rest of this series. You, sir, or ma'am, sir, have piqued my interest. I really am interested in how this thing is resolved on all of the questions that have been posed thus far. Number one, what happened to John Luke that would cause him to shut himself off from love and feelings of being too connected in his personal life? That's number one. Number two, what is the thing that John Luke Picard must atone for in order to kind of straighten all this stuff up? That's number two. Number three, how is the Borg Queen? How does she fit into all of this? And what is her connection to Jurati? That's my third question. My fourth, I think, and I'm going to make this like today. Today, this is my fourth and final question. My fourth and final question is, how do they, once they fix whatever this point is in Earth history, once they fix it, will that, or how will that change our characters as they have moved forward? Not saying that they would be in any different position than they were when this whole thing started, as far as physically, but because they will have memories of this trip, and they will have done the things necessary to fix the timeline. How does that affect them moving forward? I got a million questions. Hopefully, this series delivers a million answers. I am super duper entertained by this episode. I loved it. I touched bases with some of my super friends, and they also were very enthusiastic about this episode of Picard. I am truly interested in knowing what you all think about this episode of Picard, which, by the way, on my regular 1 to 5 scale, I give this one a perfect 5. The pacing was good, the story was excellent, and the only character that I had any super issues with was Jurati, kind of the dumbing down of this character, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it if there is some payoff to that, and I got a strong feeling there will be. I was excited to hear Cisco's name be dropped. I'm hoping that there is some build on that little name drop as well. It's so much to love about this episode, these first 2 episodes of Jean-Luc Picard, well, of Picard season 2. So yeah, this was a perfect 5 for me. Perfect 5. I would like to say thank you once again for hanging out with me for another episode recap, I guess, of Star Trek Picard. God, I always keep wanting to say Discovery. Y'all know how hard it is to switch gears, and we still in Discovery. But anywho, I'd like to also thank my patrons. Thank you, patrons. Thank you. I love you for doing what you do, and only you guys can do what you do, which is send me money. No, I honestly, I'm doing these videos again at the request of some of my patrons. They missed the videos. I was doing live streams. They missed the videos. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of both for Star Trek now, just to keep everybody happy, keep the peace, because you guys are important. Thank you, patrons, for your continued support. Like, comment, subscribe, turn your notifications on so you'll know the next time I drop a video or go live, because I do that kind of often too, with all that being said, I don't have anything else for this week. I will see you next week for the next episode of Star Trek Picard. And until then, live long and prosper. Peace.